Cronin Toyota and Cronin Nissan are honored to partner with Proudly We Served, as well as the continued support of our local active and retired military veterans across eastern Indiana.
I'm Al Bledsoe, Veterans of Foreign War, Post 1108.
And I'm Ron Chappell, chaplain for Vietnam Veterans 777, and co-host here with Al at Proudly We Serve. Our guest this morning is no stranger. She's been in the house before. And we'd like to thank Whitney for coming on board to share with us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what you've been doing, Whitney, and what your people are doing and how things are going.
Still running a Hope House Addiction Recovery Homeless Shelter. Things are going well. You know, we moved to a new location, 121 North 10th Street. We're still serving the community, and we're really serving them now because we're right down the middle of it. Everything's going great. Our shelter numbers are about this. Well, they're picking up a little bit more. We're averaging about 8 to 9 a night, and it's really quite strange because in the wintertime we had less. So I don't know if they're traveling more or what, but our program, we're averaging about maybe six guys because it's much smaller, but doing great, still moving right along. Men are getting sober, men are getting help, men are getting jobs. So that's our main concern.
That's good.
Giving them a new lease on life.
They still have to work kind of overnight, or they have to work to stay there. They can't just stay there. Isn't that right? Or is
no, the program people don't work. The people that's in the drug and alcohol program, they're there. We took it from 4 to 6 months to start. You can do it as least as 90 days.
Okay.
Up to 6 months. They don't work while they're there. They're just working on themselves. So that's the main, because money can be a trigger too.
Oh, yeah.
So the whole time they're in the program, they're just working on their spiritual, mental, and physical self. And the guys in the shelter though, they can go look for work.
Sure, okay.
Yeah, so that's every day. We open the doors at 4 o'clock. They just spend the night, eat, spend the night, get clean bedding, showers, and then they leave every day. But the program people, that's their home for at least 90 days.
Okay, so who's teaching that now?
We have a variety of teachers. We have a couple ministers. Pastor Martell Winburn, he's a teacher.
Yeah, okay.
Pastor Ron Chappell. Dave Monahan, Pastor Chris Monahan, and we have one military man. His name is Tom Newton. He's from Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. He's retired now, but he does a men's class in the evening every Wednesday. It'd be nice for y'all to meet him. Yeah. We also have an art class. We have some past clients who do classes that have been in the program that are sober. One of them's about 12 years sober. He comes, and then we have Pastor Lydia Grace from First Presbyterian Church. So it's a lot of people in the community that's helping out the AA and NA community. They come and do things. So it's just a lot of people just giving volunteer time to help out.
Hope House has been there for a minute now, hasn't it?
24 years,
24
man.
years.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
I remember when that was just a thought.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can remember that too. Wow.
Yeah.
So I thought the men, they had to work to stay there. They just couldn't live there free. But if they're really under the addiction program.
If they work, they get a paycheck, we wouldn't see them. I mean, Friday nights, we wouldn't see them for.
Yeah.
So we don't want you to work on anything but your mental and spiritual right now.
Yeah.
And now the guys in the shelter, they can work, but we want you to just be focused on you. Yeah. On your spirit, man.
Yeah.
And we gotta, as much as we can, help them to absolutely get clean, because I hear a lot of complaints from some of the companies that hire people that were addicted, and they'll get straight, they'll get their lives together, we think, and they get a job and they get their first paycheck.
And it's done, yeah.
It's done.
Money's a bad trigger. Yeah. It's more mental than anything.
People are that way though, that you can't you got to really watch what they do. You have to, you can't just turn them loose on anything.
No, and so now I'm very particular. You can't just get a job if you're working with somebody who's talking about doing drugs all day. So you have to be particular where you work, and you really got to be careful and protect your peace and protect yourself, because there's so many things that can trigger that.
Yeah.
So I got a job. I got a job, and just go for it. And they come back. I don't see them the next week because somebody at work was getting high, and that's just, it's consumed. You can't get away from it now. So,
do you have much trouble with fentanyl?
I don't have trouble with fentanyl, but I know what you mean. When they come in there, they have to be detoxed and stuff like that. Now, I have had some guys come in that have just did fentanyl, but we can't deal with that because we're not a detox facility. Uh-huh. And it amazes me when it first started hitting and they was dying a lot, and I said, I'm so sorry that that you're drug addicted, but they slipped fentanyl into your. He said, no, I knew I was doing fentanyl. I said, you knew you could die? He said, of course. And it just, the mindset these days are just, when you take that hit, you know that it's possible you can die, and they don't care. And I really thought a lot of them was doing it by accident, but they go out looking for it, knowing that for that extra. Yeah, it really gets them high, But I'm thinking it's almost like you suicidal. Because you never know. So no, I don't take what I can't handle, and I pretty much know if it's too much for me, I'll call somebody else or send them to Reed Hospital. But no, we don't. Yeah, a lot of the meth. Now the meth is a problem because I have had them come in there on meth and stay there sober, and then after a few days, the paranoia hits, and you're looking at me. Somebody's got a gun pointed at me. So that really bothers me. The meth, because they can really see things and hear things. They see people chasing them. So it's just a different world now than what it was. When we first opened up, it was alcohol and crack mostly, Yeah. Those was the good old days. And when crack hit, we thought, it's going to be so bad. But now it's just, I didn't think it could get any worse, but it's the mind frame of people now, and their mental is just, these drugs have done something. I remember years ago, I was watching a thing, and I think it was Bill Clinton. He was doing an interview, and he said, the thing about these opioids and stuff, they were meant for end of life. When somebody was it was meant for like cancer. And they said now we don't know what the effects are going to be long term. Some people's been on it for 10 years or 50. You don't know, because it was never meant to be a long term thing. So I really think it's messing up people.
Kind of like a relaxing for hospice care. Yeah,
for hospice care, just take the pain away and take the edge, just let them sleep. And now you're giving them to it, and they got addicted to it, So, and it was never meant for that.
Yeah.
But the abuse of the pharmaceutical companies, money has it's just sad.
Yeah, money's the root of all.
The love of money. Yes, it is.
Because that's what they want. Those drug companies want the money,
Yeah.
And then they come out with something that's going to help, but that's where they make big money then.
And this was years ago. They said 80% of all prescription drugs in the world is in America. That was years ago.
Yeah.
Now what have we done to?
Yeah, but if it's prescription medication, I've been on some different medication, but if it's something that I've read and it's too strong or addicted, you get, I won't do it, because I kind of went through that time in my life where I had an addiction problem.
And those pharmaceutical companies, they show up at the doctor's office. And you have good doctors who really don't know. They trust them, who really don't know, and they're prescribing it. But they, some really do their research. But I've had some that says my doctor just didn't know what he was giving me, So it's just.
How can the doctor not know? That just don't make sense.
Because them pharmaceuticals companies come in and they just tell them this is a good drug, and they trust them, I guess. I don't know.
Yes.
Well, they have.
There'll be a kickback.
Of course. Football tickets and vacations, I'm sorry, but it's like we've sold America out,
Yeah.
Not to mention our veterans.
Yeah. In You're right. I mean, that's the whole problem.
Yeah.
We've sold America out.
We have.
We are no longer the superpower that we used to be. We can talk about it, but we really aren't. And you know as well as I do, that's going to come down. That rooster's going to come back and fight somebody. Because we can't live under this.
Can't keep existing.
We
like
can't
this.
live with another 4 years of leadership. But
And this is our future. Most of these is
Exactly.
our future. Our future
Well,
young
now, do we
people.
want to go down this
No,
rabbit
no, we
trail, y'all?
don't. No, we don't. I'm just talking about the state of the addiction and a lot of these. This is our future, and this is our, you know, it just really scares me for my grandchildren that there's no fear in our young people anymore. You know, the value of life. You know, and they feel like there's no hope. You know, and it's just sad. You know, we got to get the grip on this.
Well, now, if that's the case with the general population, what about that 1%? I think that's what they said in the military. It constitutes about 1% of our population, 1.2, something like that. And the percentage of us, them, they, we, that get addicted, you know, and for many military personnel, the addiction can come from something they inherited at a particular kind of an assignment or something, you know, overseas. I know when I was in Vietnam, you know, you could give, and now we were talking about marijuana then at that time, but you could give a villager, you know, $1, and they'll go out and pick your whole laundry bag full of marijuana.
It's sad. It's just sad.
yeah, that was just when I come home. It was just coming to light just a little bit where guys were really starting to participate in opium and stuff like that.
Right.
And it was, and then they started the big thing that they was going to search everybody before they got on the plane.
Right.
So then they had dogs and everything else. When we got on the plane, they had about 4 or 5 German Shepherds out there that would sniff the drugs out because people would put it in the heel of their shoe. They'd cut their heel off and then actually dig a place in there where they could carry a little bit of opium or something with them. And of course the dogs sniff them out, and then they come out the program. If you're caught, it's 90 days.
Yeah.
You're going to stay in country another 90 days to make sure you're clean. But those days are over. We're really a damaged society with this drug business.
Tell me this: when y'all went into the service, was there a lot of drug testing before you go? You couldn't be on alcohol.
No.
That wasn't like that then. You could just go.
Alcoholism was the main issue, I would say, at least when I went in '62. But drugs didn't start becoming a problem until, let's see, well, when I got to Vietnam in '65.
Okay.
That's when I.
When I went in '67, I
learned
I'd never, maybe in high school I had a beer, and we always act like we was drunk and taking a drink of beer. But when I'll never forget when I got off the plane in Vietnam, when they picked me up, a guy said, "Do you drink?" And I said, "No." And they said, "You'll learn."
Yeah.
And so what happened was, over that course of a year there, a year and a half there, and then come back to the States, then went back, I come home and I was a committed alcoholic.
See, that's, man.
And so I couldn't, and I couldn't get away from it.
So sad, man.
And I have 4 brothers that are actually ministers. And they kept calling me, and my mother's was a large lady. And she'd knock you sideways over something. I'll never forget, I come downstairs one day, and because I was just drunk all the time. And she had my bottle of Johnny Walker's, poured it down the sink.
Oh, no.
And she said, "That's it, you're done."
Oh, wow.
And so my brother called me from Connorsville and said, "Why don't you come over and spend some time?" Because I'd gotten my license taken away, I'd gotten all kinds of problems, not really trouble, but just the policemen were watching out for me and didn't want to see me go down. So, and then when I got to Connorsville, with God's help, I just simply quit.
Yeah, boy.
That was May the 9th, 1971.
Good.
Haven't touched a drink since.
Wonderful.
Not one swallow.
No program, no nothing.
No, because
Wow.
I'm a habitual offender. I
Yeah.
always thought, and I always told my wife that if I ever drank a beer, I'd get attached to it.
Yeah, you knew that.
And I don't want to do that.
See?
So,
Now with what about? I've had a few young men that's wanting to go to the service, but the tattoos, was that a problem back then?
no, we didn't have many tattoos
Oh yeah, they
that
haven't.
I can remember.
Well, they kind of frowned on tats back when I was.
Yeah, I think some of the guys have gotten tattoos since they come home, but as
Yeah.
far as, like, I can't remember a guy that I knew had a tattoo.
Yeah, I've had a couple young ones that's tried to go, but their tattoos stopped them.
It must have been the tattoo itself.
Was it the tattoo?
Something that was said on it.
It was big or it was here or something, but yeah, it might have been that. I don't know, but I'm like, tattoos?
Yeah.
You know, so yeah.
But it could have been the language or
Could have
something.
been the language, yeah.
Something
We
they
got
picked
kids,
up.
it's me, it's VFW.
Yeah.
We got
Yeah.
young guys that, they got them all over the place.
Now I'm thinking with this, they starting to draft back up. What's
Well,
with these young people now? I mean, that's kind of
Boy, they'll never. It's hard to find somebody that really knows how to work. I mean, because most of them will work a week or 2 weeks to get enough money to do something, and then they'll just do something else. They don't want to stay and work. So, and that's true with all of them.
that is true. They are talking about starting to back up, aren't they?
I've heard
Where you got to
rumors.
sign. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I think it'd be a good thing to start the draft over again. Help teach these kids some discipline.
I liked it when it
Well, I
was
think if-
jail or the army. I like that. I mean,
Yeah.
it turned a lot of young people's lives around.
Yeah,
It did.
especially if you had the discipline
Yeah.
involved with the military. If we're going to, we haven't had some real leadership in the military the last couple of years. So anything's possible now. But if they would actually join and they would have to give in to being told what to do, you know how young kids are, they're like herding cats. So you can't, because you can't really make much sense of it, the way people act nowadays.
What's so scary to me? If I had a teenager, I'd be nervous wreck,
Yeah.
especially with the way things are with the world, and
Yeah.
you don't know what's. I mean, it's just all them young men who lost their lives, and for what? I mean, let me know if you're going, what you're going for. I mean, what? I mean,
Yeah.
that's what the loss of life, and us just pray for our country, man. That's all I can.
Yeah.
Well, you've been over there for a minute now. and,
Yes.
So, is there anything special about veterans
Yes.
in terms of how you deal with them?
I've dealt with veterans for years. I think we had more in the beginning when we was first started. I remember a lot of them's faces. They'd always sit down and we talked about Agent Orange, and they was of course older. A lot of them still seen the faces of the people that they had. I mean, it was just so traumatizing for them, and they was on. A lot of them had alcohol problems. One was on, I think, oxys for a while. But I just always liked they was always special to me because they would just want to talk, And then the Journey House opened up in Winchester, and I knew that they could do a lot more to help the men than we could do. We could just give them shelter, but we had one man that was stuck in a house. He was an older man. He must have been in his 60s. He had a wife who was abusing drugs, and her son was abusing drugs, and they was taking his money and really abusing him. I mean, I felt so sorry for him.
Wow.
By the time, I think the wife she passed away in the house, and he didn't even know it. I mean, that's how messed up he was. They brought him to Hope House, and he was so timid, but just special to me. I mean, it was just sad. He was talking about the war, but anyway, I called the Journey House, and they came right down and picked him up and just loved him back to life. And I am so glad they're here because our veterans, they need love and they need to be taken care of because so many people take advantage of them.
Yes.
And now with them just finding out that, they get a paycheck, you know what I'm saying? And it's just, but I would have kept that old man there a year if I had to, just to protect him, you know. So yeah, and now I think there's a lot more services to help them now because I'm not seeing them as much as I used to. And if you do see them, then they'll say, I had 2 in there a few months ago. I would tell them about the Veteran Center here. Let's get our numbers because they have to have a number. And they never did want to give me the information, you know. And I said, well, what's that number you have to have?
Your form, you mean?
Yeah,
the DD 214.
Yeah, and I tried
That's the form.
There's a form, but they said they didn't know their number. It was always an excuse, you know. And I used to send them to Jim Disney, you know, but I called down there, and they was very nice. Well, send them down here, but they never would follow through. And I think it's kind of paranoia. Oh, they ain't gonna do nothing. Nobody care, you know. So.
Yeah, and now your social security number.
Yeah.
No more serial numbers. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Journey Home has done a good job, I think, with veterans. I'd like to see if we could do something with the homeless people in town, but I swear I've never really run into a homeless veteran that was really a homeless veteran.
Yeah.
I've run into a couple of guys that said they were, but then you can start asking some questions and find out real quick where they're at.
Which is probably it, because I always ask, are you a veteran? Because I know they'll do better up there because I get them out of there immediately. But there's some good services for the veterans now. I see more now than what I seen before, and they really care about them up there. They really do.
Well, the service officers that we have some really good service officers.
Yeah, we do.
And if they can help a veteran in any way. I mean, there are so many people that are willing to reach out and help veterans. It's just they got to take the first step.
That's the problem.
You can't, you know, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. You know, and that's the way veterans are, a lot of them. I mean, we got a couple of them at work that I think ought to jump in the middle of this PACT Act. I mean, they're working and got a lot of responsibility. They need to jump in the middle of that because they were in Iraq for 14 months. They deserve something.
They do. It's
This
so
PACT
sad.
Act, it's allowing veterans to claim harm from some things that before they could not.
Really?
Yeah.
So, for
That's
example,
good.
like
The
when I
PACT
was,
Act, and it's easier to for a veteran to, if you will, sign up for that. And if they're in Iraq, if they've been in Iraq, like the one kid, especially at work, I ask him almost, I know at least once a week, maybe twice a week, when are you going to do that? Because he's working and he makes good money, so he don't see the need. I said, yeah, but fast forward, you get to be my age, then you wish, boy, I wish I would have done that.
Yeah.
Because, you know, but when we were that age, there was no help out there. I mean, there wasn't any help.
when we were that age, there was nothing out there.
Nothing. Ain't that
No,
something?
nothing. So, but nowadays there are so many things that, you know, can help. You know, the homeless crowd. I just don't see that, and I've had people want to start a homeless shelter, but I don't see that because they've got places like your place. How many can you hold at your place?
Oh, I can hold about 8, 9 in the program, and
Yeah.
the shelter can hold about maybe 12 or more. Very small.
Yeah, so that's quite a few men.
Yeah.
If
We
you
could
get
hold-
that many men and can change that many men's lives, that's a huge deal, I think.
You know, I talked to a lady from, she called from California, and I'm going to talk to her again. But she was asking me about maybe starting a homeless shelter for women veterans, you know.
Yeah.
She said she lives out in California, and somebody had gave her my number, I don't know how, but she said all the women that are homeless out in California that were vets, you know. And that just rang, I never thought about a home for women veterans, you know. But she said it's very bad out there in California. And I'm thinking, like, we had the homeless camps here. Does someone go and check and say,
Yes.
are you a veteran? Do y'all do that? Or
The mayor.
The mayor did?
Our mayor is, man, that's his
Good.
heartbeat. And a number of organizations are coming together to support that effort to try to find places for the homeless people to get warm when it's cold.
That's good.
You know, dry and that kind of stuff.
Thing that I just don't have the patience to do that because I've
Yeah.
worked on stuff like that. But like I want to see something done now.
Exactly.
You can sit and talk about it all day long. You know, we talked about that. You know, you got to have a plan of action and then try to get it done because there's nothing I would like any better than to start a homeless place in Richmond. But you got to move. You got places like hers that vets can go to. And if you run into a vet, I always ask them, have you ever been there? Well, no. Did you ever try it? Well, no. Well, what are you doing then? So, but most homeless guys, they can't. Maybe they don't realize they're homeless. I don't know.
Well, a lot of them, the ones that I've run into, like a lot of them don't want rules and guidelines. They don't want nobody telling them what
they
to
don't
do.
want the discipline.
They don't want the discipline, you know.
Exactly.
And even give me your cell phone. You can't have your cell. I ain't giving up my cell phone. Or you can't have that in here. You got to give up your pocket knife. I'm not giving up my pocket knife, you know. So a lot of them don't want structure and they don't want guidelines.
Yeah.
And so that's a lot of the problems right there.
Hey, we only got a few more minutes left,
Okay.
folks. So now, tell us where the Hope House is.
Hope House is at 121 North 10th Street, Richmond, Indiana. Our we can be reached at our webpage is richmondhalfwayhouse.org, and our email is hopehouseforyou@gmail.com. And our phone number is 765-935-3000.
Okay. Now, so
House for
for
you.
admission, they just call that number and say, hey,
Just call that number or take the email out, hopehouseforyou@gmail.com, and someone will get back and contact them, or if they call, someone would answer the phone. Yes, we're open 365 days a year, 7 days a week, but our office hours are Monday through Friday.
okay, so they need to know that you got to go through detox first before you can.
Yes, we're total abstinence, and we don't detox you.
Right.
There is services that do around this area now.
Right.
Yes. Yep.
All right. I remember a little bit, but
Yes. Good job.
Well, thanks for being with us
Thank
today.
you. Thanks for
Thank
having
We
me.
appreciate
thanks for watching Proudly We Serve.
Cronin Toyota and Cronin Nissan are honored to partner with Proudly We Served, as well as the continued support of our local active and retired military veterans across eastern Indiana.